Hello, Aquarius. Welcome to this December 2018 conversation. We're getting into some pretty deep territory this month. I've been noticing you guys are near the end of the cycle for me as I'm sitting down doing these readings. And so I have some insight into what all the other signs are doing, and I'm realizing how deeply intense and hidden everybody's processes are right now. It's really not about the external display. It's really not about the external manifestations, because what I'm noticing is those are coming for people. Like the answers are coming in, the manifestations are coming in, the opportunities are coming in, the new beginnings are coming in, and yet there's this sense that everybody is still working through their emotional, mental landscapes and realities, and realizing that that's really where the gold is and where the self-sabotage is and where the release is. With you guys, the first thing that came to mind, interestingly enough, as I was thinking about December, let me start shuffling. Oh, by the way, you guys, I did year ahead forecasts. I have them out on Vimeo now, so I'll leave the link below. I talk big transits, the major thematic events of those transits for 2019, and we pull some intuitive cards. The goal was really to create a space for you guys to feel empowered and excited and imaginative about the new year ahead, and to feel that you can play with these energies and make the most of the year. So please go check that out. I'll leave that all below. And speaking of that, one of the major things that's going to be affecting you, I think this month and just throughout the next year, is this whole Saturn transit in your 12th house. I mean, Saturn's hanging in Capricorn until March 2020. And Saturn in your 12th house is such an interesting placement because it is restructuring. It is a very workshop-y oriented kind of restructuring of your view of things. You know, your spiritual, emotional, King of Pentacles view of the world. And I feel like that undercurrent for Aquarians, we've been talking about it this year, I think, it changes the tone of everything else. I think it's actually kind of a supportive, grounding, helpful energy for you, but it's a little bit odd. You know, it feels a little bit strange. 9 of Wands. And the other thing to think about, you know, is just like you will be having Saturn in your sign in 2020 and for a couple years, a little over 2 years. And that means you are heading into a time then in 2020 when you will be really workshopping you and what you're doing in the world. Page of Swords, 8 of Wands, 5 of Wands. And I don't know why, but I feel like there's a moment here to kind of consider all of that. You know what I mean? There's like this macro lens energy really working at people in December. Everybody, all the signs. And for you, I think that's something to just keep in mind. Sag season's great for Aquarians. It's one of the best energies. You guys get that. Hierophant, Hanged Man. You guys get Sag energy. Sag and Aquarian energy get along really well. It's a very fun mixture. It's very exploratory, open-minded, and don't want to do things in the conventional way. You know, fire and air always gets along. So there's this really nice, vibrant playfulness there. But, you know, we still have Mercury retrograde going back into Scorpio at the very beginning of the month. King of Wands. We have Venus finishing her post-shadow phase and starting to go forward into Scorpio on like the 2nd, I think. So we still have this Scorpio influence really strong. We're still working through what those retrogrades were doing with and to us, what that information was bringing in. And that's part of the reason this month is so deep, because the first 3 weeks, all of the rest of Sag season is really kind of cleanup from Venus retrograde and then Mercury retrograde finishing and then going forward. We have this new moon in Sag. So all this Sag energy is working at you. We're closing up all this, everything we got out of the retrogrades. Then we have a new moon in Sag. This is all 11th house energy, like your community, the people you have around you, you know, what you want to build there. And I think there's a lot of taking a moment and just thinking about what you really want that to look like, where you really want to consciously put more effort and focus and directional vision into your community, where maybe you've been pulling back or feeling a little bit like you don't want to fully show up, where you've been feeling like you wanted to hide away, or maybe where you've been even feeling a little antisocial, a little uninvested in your community, a little confused about what that community looks and feels like for you and why it would even matter, you know? Like there's kind of that sense, and it's okay to pull back a little bit. It's okay to reconsider that, but I do think that there's energy there going on with that, along with the fact that you're also still thinking about what you're doing in the world, why that matters to you, and why you want to check in with that more fully. You know, I think you have been through a phase where you did feel that you stepped back a little bit. You were looking at things a little bit with a little bit of that Aquarian detachment, which I think can be really productive, because sometimes we do just need to step back and look at it as though we're not in it. So we can like see, is that good? Is that helpful? Now, I do have to say that this month is going to be a month where it's about re-engaging with anything that you feel you have you've known you wanted to address it, you've known you wanted to connect with it, but you've been kind of just not wanting to have to go there maybe, or you just haven't felt ready to go there. This month is an invitation to start in consciously and purposely engaging with that energy and moving forward into it. So I will say that with the Sag season, you're going to be feeling the impulse to do that. Now, as we move into Capricorn season, there's always that interesting thing of we are prepping for Aquarian season, which I am so excited for. Aquarian season is one of my favorite times of year, obviously, because it's you guys. It's your birthday season, and I love you guys. But, you know, happy season's interesting for Aquarians. It's a time you do check in again, right? There's so much check-in energy, and yet it's still inviting you to move forward. And we also have this Cancer full moon opening up Cap season, and the Cancer full moon's at 0 degrees of Cancer. You know, this is 6th house energy for Aquarians. This is checking in with your body, with your physical state, with your weekly routines, with how you serve others. And it kind of is this grounding energy that is saying, like, how are you going to show up to this? You know, the north node of the moon is now in Cancer as well. How are you going to show up to this in the real world right now, right here, right now, in your schedule, in your week? How are you going to show up to the people you love? How are you going to show up to the community you love? How are you going to show up to yourself? To yourself, right? So you have to show up to yourself and start honoring yourself in order to do it for others. And I know you guys have like a bit of your minds are so powerful, you get a little bit denigrating to yourselves at times. You really put hard and high standards on yourself all the time, to the point that you do detach. You do just say, I'm just going to step out of this altogether because I can't handle it. You know, you do go there. I know you do. So this month we have a lot of interesting energies, right? I mean, King of Pentacles is really interesting. Once again, investment is this word that's really showing up for me, for you Cappies, or Aquarians, excuse me, I'm sorry. King of Pentacles invests in the long game. He really thinks about where he's going to plant those seeds, where he's going to plant those resources and those energies, understanding that once he plants those, he's going to have to live with the plants that come up, but also understanding that he's willing to plant them now, and he's willing to sit there with them. So maybe you have some earthy energy in your life, which could be really balancing and really good for you if you have a Capricorn or a Taurus in your life who's really like helping you along to like find some of these answers. That could be really good for you. One thing I'm noticing with the King of Pentacles energy as I'm holding this is this sense of, you know, grounding is going to be good for you this month. Find ways to ground in with a routine that feels good to you, or with a set of rituals that feels good to you. Ground in by making plans with specific people who are supportive of you. Ground in by checking in with your desires and what you want to feel and build, and just take some time to just do some of that groundwork. Doesn't have to be heart-wrenching. Just take some time for that. It will feel so good and so empowering. It will help you feel like you can get your head wrapped around some of these larger things that you feel you need to address, or these huge life questions you have. Sometimes it's just about paring it down to what can you do this week? What can you do in the next 4 hours that will help you, right? Like there's a call for that, because, you know, I look at these next 3 cards and I see so much going on. 9 of Wands, Page of Swords, 8 of Wands is really quite dynamic. There's a lot of movement here. There's a lot of intensity. There's a lot of duality going on here, actually, because one thing I will say is the 9 of Wands is telling me that there's a little resistance in opening up to what's next. There's a little resistance in opening to the next chapter in your life a little bit, because you don't want to get burned again. Now, I get that. Like, maybe you've had some burnout. Maybe 2018 has left you with a sense of burnout, with a sense of exhaustion, with a sense of, what was that? How do I reconcile that? Maybe even the last few years have felt a bit like a huge avalanche of information. You know, 9 of Wands is always like, it's resistance. It can become self-sabotage if we decide that we're going to live life this way as the prison guard of our own experience. So when I see the 9 of Wands, I'm seeing a little heaviness, I'm seeing a little resistance, and I think partially it's that you guys are getting a little overwhelmed with what you want to do and where you want to go next. Like, you have some really big doors opening up for you. You have some really new big adventures coming in for you. And, you know, you're getting those invitations, which are right here in the Page of Swords and the 8 of Wands, but you are feeling a little overwhelmed by it. And that's where the grounding is going to be really important for you. Take it back to what you can do this week, who you can call this week, what you're really trying to say. If you have messages you need to send to people, if you have answers you need to give to people, whatever, you know, whatever's been kind of sitting in your mind, because I feel like a lot of you have things you want to say to people, you have connections you want to build, you have opportunities you want to say yes to. It can be a little overwhelming because you're like, how do I even start to write this message? How do I even start to open this door? Just pare it back down to what you're really wanting to say, what you're really wanting to share with people, right? And I think as soon as you do that, as soon as you get down to like the very heart and soul and core of what you're really meaning to say and do, it will help you move forward really fast, and it will get rid of that resistance. So the Page of Swords and the 8 of Wands, this is about fast forward motion. I think by the time we get to mid-month, after that new moon in Sag and Mercury's direct and then going into Sag, and we have all this momentum, we're really getting through way past this whole retrograde season. Things are moving. There's a freshness. There's a lightness. There's a lot of movement. If you decide to open the door, if you decide to send the message, if you decide to just ground down and root and be really consciously making this effort in this thing that matters to you, it will take you with it. It's one of those things. You offer up one step, the universe offers up 2 more. Now, this opportunity may be something that came in, you didn't think it was yours, or you didn't see that this was going to be your path maybe 6 months ago. You know, it kind of comes in quickly, this energy. And sometimes it's true, we can be surprised by like what the opportunity ends up being for us in the turn of events. It's like, whoa, I did not realize that it was going to be like this. But this is fast moving energy. This is about clarity. This is about getting that communication factor back in gear and feeling that you have that ability to like have back and forth conversations where maybe you felt blocked before, maybe you felt stopped before, maybe you felt frozen before. This is movement. I think this is so supportive for you, Aquarians. I think you need this. I think there's been a lot of heavy, stilted energy around you guys, and you felt really frustrated by not being able to move in that playful, fun way that you want to move in with all that energy you have. So I'm seeing that come in. Now, looking at these next cards, right, we have 5 of Wands, and I feel like 5 of Wands loves to show up for Aquarians because you guys are so funny. Like, you do invite a little bit of the drama, a little bit of the intrigue, a little bit of the back and forth. Like, you have that ability because you're such performers, and you get in there and you have your opinions and you have your ideas, and like not everybody agrees with you, and you don't mind getting in there to have a tussle. Maybe you do have a disagreement or two as you're kind of reopening your communications and as you're opening new doors. Maybe you do have some disagreements. Maybe you have points of tension and you realize people that are around you aren't working so well with you, or you're realizing where you really want to put your energy and where you don't want to put your energy and where it's not serving you anymore. 5 of Wands can be very helpful and very therapeutic in the sense that if you have something that's been bothering you for a little while and you can get it off your chest in this kind of fiery, playful way, it can release the tension and help things move more healthily. And I kind of see that with these next three cards, because we have the Hierophant, the Hanged Man, and the King of Wands. So once again, we have this earthy energy working with you. And I think it's really important to think about the Hierophant as a balancer. You have a lot of Taurian energy, interestingly enough, in the reading today, with the King of Pentacles and then with the Hierophant that's really associated with that. The Hierophant is a harmony, a peacekeeper, leader, healer. And yes, this can be about doing things in the old-fashioned way. This can be about, the ritualistic way we just do things by rote. But I think sometimes we just need this grounding. Like, we just need to understand that there needs to be this soft space of health and growth where we let other people be who they are and they let us be who we are, and we find some stability in those closer relationships. Maybe I think you need a balance between this kind of combative side of yourself and then feeling also that you are held in steady energy. I see that for you, like that steadiness of spirit is around. And I think Aquarians, you need to know that you have those people who will stick by you and build with you, even if you are here, there, and everywhere, even if you do move through things the way that you move through things, even if you do need to retract sometimes, even if you do have an inflammatory opinion, that you have people that hold you safe. Now, the last thing to look at here is this dualism here. There's something going on with the Hanged Man. There's always a time of incorporation, a pause, a slow down, taking a moment to breathe and consider something before we move. And the Hanged Man's also very much about abundance and understanding that not everything needs to be resolved this month. I think that's a big thing. All this energy that's coming at you, because you have so much high energy, Aquarians, it's like, whoa. This is all movement. This is all new beginnings. This is all new opportunities. It's all communicative. It's all about communicating what you want. It's all about making plans. It's all about making things move. It's all about moving the pieces around and getting all wild with it. There's this other side that's just saying, that's true. These doors are opening. The conversations are starting again. The communication's starting again. The support is opening up. However, not all of it's going to get done this month, so take a breath to make sure you're checking in with yourself consistently. The King of Wands is your final card, so maybe you have some fire energy around you. King of Wands is fantastic for Aquarians. Like, to have that fire energy, you have so much Wands energy here. You have a lot of fire energy and a lot of earth energy. And I think what's really important for you is to knowing that people like this in your life are going to be really good. I keep getting this like steady characters. You want the steady characters in your life. The people who make plans with you and keep them, the people who you call when you are feeling weaker and know that they keep their plans with you. And they have their visions and they invest in you and they invest in themselves, and they give a sense of security and longevity. They give a sense of focus and direction and passion and connection. I think you guys need to focus on those relationships, not on the relationships that just challenge you and leave you questioning things and all that. And the thing with these people that are so steady and so focused, I think you have wanted to kind of push those relationships back a little bit, or you've wanted to be like, oh my God, that's so much. But these are actually the relationships that are best for you. And they will challenge you in the sense that they are going to ask follow-up questions. They are going to stick around even when you're feeling a little bit like, ooh, they're going to ride out the storm with you. Those are the people and those are the relationships you want to entertain. You do not want to entertain the relationships that are flippant and superficial and let you off the hook. But it's not just about relationships here. This is about opportunities as well. Ones that are consistent with you, consistent with your vision, and consistent with where you want to take your life. Be very aware of where you're planting your seeds, and then check in hard and be very consciously focused on making it happen. That is my advice for you Aquarians this month. The energy is actually quite fun. It's quite good. There's a little bit of tension there, but nothing that's going to stop you. I love you guys so much. Please check out the Year Ahead readings on Vimeo. I'll leave that below. And you can check me out on Instagram at @SarahTarot. I would love to see you guys over there. I also have my website, SARAHTAROT.com. I'll leave all of that info in the description box so you can just scroll through and find it all. I'm doing sessions. I just book out a few months in advance, so just make sure you plan ahead and we can do a session together. I'd love that. I will see you guys in January for the beginning of Aquarian season. I'm so excited. I'm sending you all the blessings for a fabulous new beginning and a fabulous full moon in Cancer, and I will see you in January.